You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. So we didn't do that this time.
Turns out Disney just ghosted Rachel Zegler and canceled the entire Snow White trilogy. And it seems like Rachel is now suiting up with a legal team, ready to fight for that lost multi-million-dollar paycheck. So what went down between Disney and their top pick for Snow White? Why did they suddenly pull the plug on her projects? Today we're diving in on all the juicy drama, from Rachel's Disney downfall to Bob Iger's bold moves that might have just sunk this woke Snow White for good. But here's the real question. Was it all just bad casting, or is Disney running scared from its own creation? Let's find out. A fairy tale gone wrong. Disney is currently dealing with more problems than Mickey can count on both hands, and no department seems to be dodging the chaos. Pixar, Lucasfilm, and Marvel are all feeling the pressure from Bob Iger's recent moves, which include cost-cutting decisions that have left everyone shocked. From the executives at the top to the smallest cog in the Disney machine, things aren't looking too magical for anyone. One particularly eye-catching train wreck on the horizon is the upcoming Snow White remake, slated for 2025. Ever since the first trailer dropped at D23, the internet's been buzzing, but not in a good way. Some are already calling it Disney's biggest misstep in years, sparking outrage that reminds one of their past flops. And unfortunately, this has put a lot of heat on Snow White star Rachel Zegler, who's found herself caught in the middle of the storm with her diva attitude and controversial statements.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
At just 23, Zegler is no stranger to sparking controversy, especially with her outspoken views. Recently, she even caused drama on X by sharing her views on the Israel-Palestine debate while promoting the movie. Branding experts were quick to point out that diving into politically charged topics might not be the best way to increase those ticket sales. Who knew? Currently, Disney's trying to steer clear of any controversies to put some band-aids on these massive share prices drop in 2024. But Rachel's behavior has proved to be a big hurdle here. Not only did she publicly admit that she hated the original 1937 Snow White, the actress also called the classic storyline weird and even labeled the prince character a stalker, promising that this new version would feature a consensual love story only. Directed by Mark Webb, the $330 million remake was supposed to hit theaters in March 2024. But after all the backlash, Disney pressed the delay button. Crisis meetings were reportedly held to figure out how to stop this messy situation, and one of the changes was to replace the diverse cast of dwarves with CGI versions closer to the original look. As if this wasn't enough, Zegler has been clear about her vision, saying this remake is all about being progressive. In fact, old interviews from 2022 resurfaced, where she threw even more shade at the original film. When talking about her version of Snow White, Zegler said she's not going to be saved by the prince and won't be dreaming about true love.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really wonderful, and whether or not she finds love along the way.
Instead, her character is focused on becoming the leader her late father believed she could be: bold, brave, and true. While this modern take might sound fresh, it's also proving to be quite the gamble for Disney. You see, Rachel Zegler's Snow White journey has been anything but a fairy tale so far. Critics haven't held back, labeling her a fake feminist, and even accusing her of gaslighting the audience. Even several branding experts from Disney have stepped into the drama, and trust me, they didn't mince words either. They warned Disney that they've gone from one extreme to another, pushing a heavy-handed message of empowerment that might not be landing the way they hoped. Looking at this situation, it only reminds us of the good old days of Disney. There was a time when Disney stars were media trained to stick to the script, focusing on the film and avoiding stirring the pot. But with this modern-day Snow White, the whole boss girl vibe seems to have given some actors free rein to speak their minds. And that's backfired big time. As several critics have put it, Disney might want to be a little more careful with how they let their actors speak on this project, especially when those opinions stray too far from the fairy tale magic people expect. PR expert Nick Eade echoed this sentiment, pointing out that instead of embracing the iconic role of Snow White, Zegler seems determined to flip the script, and not in a way everyone's loving. The movie has become a woke story about a young woman with bigger ambitions than waiting for her Prince Charming. While that sounds progressive, not everyone's buying it. Zegler also had to deal with backlash over her casting. Snow White has always been described as having skin as white as snow, and Zegler's Colombian-American heritage led some to question the choice. She clapped back with a now-deleted tweet stating, "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role." It was a bold response, but it added more fuel to the fire surrounding the remake. The controversies didn't stop there. The 7 dwarfs were swapped out for magical, non-dwarf creatures in the name of political correctness. Disney initially denied it, but when photos leaked, they had to come clean. The film's trailer didn't do much to help the situation, with CGI dwarfs dancing around, sparking disappointment on social media. Fans were quick to voice their displeasure, with many upset about the tone, the visuals, and the way the story deviated from the original. The reaction was brutal. The trailer racked up a staggering 735,000 downvotes compared to just 69,000 upvotes. A huge red flag. If that's any indication, Disney could be heading for a rough opening weekend. It seems like Snow White might be in for a cold reception at the box office, and not even a magic mirror can fix that. As if the backlash wasn't already a massive headache, Disney's decisions seem to be emptying their wallet as well. Their bright idea to dodge casting actual actors for the role of dwarves, yeah, that blew up in their face. What started as a $200 million price tag has now ballooned into a jaw-dropping $330 million. That's right, Snow White has somehow made it into the top 10 most expensive films ever. For context, Avengers: Infinity War cost less than this. Not exactly a fairy tale ending for Disney. So yeah, the movie would have to cross over $600 million to hit break-even. Yet amidst this situation, one can't help but wonder if Disney is also losing touch with the very essence that made its stories resonate for generations. Love. Are we losing the magic of love? For decades, Disney's formula was simple. Love equals happiness. The classic princess storyline: find your prince, get married, and boom, happily ever after. It's a theme that struck a chord because, well, love is one of those universal things. Since the dawn of time, stories have celebrated love as a core part of life. It's in our DNA, literally. Survival depends on it. But fast forward to now, and Disney seems to be taking a completely different stance. In the new Snow White live-action remake, Rachel Zegler has made it clear that her character isn't waiting for a prince. She's not dreaming of love. She's dreaming of leadership. And for some, that feels like a pretty big departure from what made Snow White, Snow White. Calling the classic tale of true love weird, that's a hot take.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat, and that's why people are so annoyed.
The 1937 Snow White didn't just wait around to be saved. She took charge when needed, won over the 7 dwarfs, and even had a forest full of animals at her side. And she did it all with kindness and humility. That's leadership, right? But now it seems like Disney's message is more about power than love. No wonder people aren't exactly thrilled about these changes. Frankly speaking, this shift isn't new to Hollywood. From Star Wars Admiral Holdo to Lord of the Rings Galadriel, we've seen the girl boss archetype take center stage. Prioritizing power over love has become a recurring theme in modern cinema, and to some, it's more about ticking boxes than telling a heartfelt story. Power can be seized, but love, that has to be given, and it feels like Hollywood has forgotten how to write about it. Disney's classics, though, are timeless for a reason. Films like the original Snow White didn't just transform cinema. They gave us unforgettable songs like Someday My Prince Will Come, Whistle While You Work, and Hi Ho. It's hard to find that level of magic in today's movies, where the focus has shifted to messages over melody. Disney's crown jewels have always been stories of love and heart, and that's why they've stood the test of time. But now it seems like even the foundation of Disney's magic is being rewritten. In short, Disney's employees seem to have a solid helping of envy, especially when it comes to the legendary works they're now dismantling piece by piece. And Hollywood? Well, it's obsessed with power, completely overlooking the fact that true leadership comes with weighty responsibilities. Being a princess isn't all tiaras and ball gowns. It's a tough gig. You don't even have to go back to 1937 for proof. Disney gave us The Princess Diaries in 2001, and already that feels like a relic from a different time. Anne Hathaway's Mia Thermopolis is an awkward, relatable teenager who finds out she's royalty, but it's not all champagne and castles. Sure, the idea of being a princess seems fun, but with great power comes great responsibility.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Mia has to grow into her role, And who better to guide her than the ever-poised Julie Andrews as Queen Clarisse? It's a coming-of-age story that shows us we're more than what we're born into. It's about who we choose to become. But Mia doesn't do it alone. She has a mentor. Remember those? Mentorship seems to be missing in action these days. In today's Hollywood, it feels like the message is that elders are there to be dismissed, if not outright ridiculed. The hero's journey is now more about embracing your inner awesomeness. And once you've accepted that, the next logical step is to make sure everyone else acknowledges it, often with some flashy, over-the-top showdown. The wise mentors, the seasoned pros, they're portrayed as washed-up relics, broken down and irrelevant. Instead of learning from them, the goal is to overpower them. And that's not just lazy storytelling. It's dangerous. Instead of teaching humility, respect, or responsibility, it's all about dominance. It's no wonder people are feeling disconnected from these modern stories. Hollywood's power trip obsession is taking away the heart and soul that once made these tales timeless. As the narrative takes a darker turn, it seems Rachel Zegler is now gearing up to take legal action against Disney amid the fallout. Rachel Zegler's ultimate meltdown. It feels like Disney has been sailing straight into the storm for quite some time now. Their recent decisions have stirred up a whirlwind of controversy, mostly because they seem to have veered away from what many fans want. Simple, entertaining movies, not ones weighed down with heavy-handed messages. The disconnect is clear, and nowhere is it more obvious than in the Snow White franchise shakeup. The backlash has been loud. Fans aren't just skeptical about the film, they're downright unhappy. Instead of generating excitement, the trailer added fuel to the fire, solidifying the idea that this new Snow White is way off the mark for many viewers. It's not just about the movie itself, but what it says about Disney's direction. The classic stories that people grew up with are being reinterpreted in ways that are rubbing longtime fans the wrong way, and they're not shy about expressing it. And then there's Bob Iger, Disney's CEO, who plans to step down by 2026. Under his leadership, the focus has been on diversity, equity, and sustainability, which has sparked its own debates. But in a surprising move, Iger and his team have canceled the planned Snow White sequels. That's right. What was supposed to be a trilogy is now wiped off the slate, with no plans for a follow-up or finale. This isn't just a small tweak, it's a massive change in direction, especially for Rachel Zegler, who was supposed to reprise her role and be a big part of the project. Now things are getting even messier. Zegler is reportedly gearing up to take legal action against Disney for scrapping these films, which were a key part of her contract. To make matters worse, she's been removed from several other Disney projects, both live-action and animated. Apparently, the decision to cancel the Snow White sequels came without any warning to Zegler, who insists these films were central to her career plans. Disney, on the other hand, claims the sequels were never set in stone and were always subject to change. It's safe to say this whole saga is far from the fairy tale Disney was hoping for. This whole situation with Rachel Zegler feels like déjà vu, especially when you think about Amandla Stenberg and The Acolyte. Just like how Stenberg faced criticism after the second season was canceled due to internal drama, Zegler is now caught in her own battle with Disney. Word on the street is that she's been having some pretty heated exchanges with Disney execs in remote meetings, and it's shaking things up behind the scenes. As a result, Disney is reportedly limiting her involvement in promoting the current Snow White movie, which, by the way, will be her last gig with the company. And if that's not enough drama for you, Gal Gadot was supposed to be in the first sequel, but those plans have been scrapped too. Gadot's departure added another twist, as the sequel was set to bring back her evil queen character for a storyline involving her vengeful brother. It was shaping up to be quite the showdown, with Snow White, the dwarfs, and a new prince all in the crosshairs, inspired by elements from Happily Ever After. But between the backlash from the Snow White trailer and Gadot stepping away, the whole trilogy plan unraveled like a poorly written fairy tale. Meanwhile, Disney's eyeing another ambitious plan, this time with The Lion King. They're trying to repeat the magic of the 2019 remake by setting up 3 connected films. One of them will focus on Scar's backstory, set after the events of the recent remake. Disney is banking on expanding their classic franchises, despite stumbling with projects like Snow White. They're rolling out Mufasa later this year, and the Scar-centric film is slated for 2027. It's like they're trying to create another trilogy, similar to their original hopes for Snow White, but hopefully with fewer storms and more roaring success. It's honestly puzzling why Disney was so committed to the Snow White trilogy, especially considering their recent history of failed franchise expansions. Take the Little Mermaid 2023 remake, for example. Disney had high hopes for a sequel, but after facing major backlash and financial losses, they quietly shelved the whole idea. Turns out, The Little Mermaid cost way more than Disney let on, and the box office returns didn't exactly cover the bill. Now, amidst all the chaos, Rachel Zegler is pushing Disney hard to bring back the canceled Snow White sequels. She's not just frustrated, she's taking this whole situation personally. In her eyes, these films weren't just another gig, they were a major part of her contract, and she's determined to see them through. Losing those sequels isn't just a creative setback for her, it's a huge financial hit too, potentially worth millions. For Zegler, those films were supposed to be her golden ticket to both career growth and a nice paycheck. Disney was supposed to be her launchpad, and now with the sequels canceled, it feels like her plans have crumbled overnight. She was banking on those movies to solidify her future in Hollywood, and now the rug's been pulled out from under her, making the situation even more personal and urgent. The cancellation of the Snow White sequels definitely seems like more than just a series of unfortunate events. It's a symptom of some deeper issues within Disney. This situation with Rachel Zegler really parallels what we've seen before, with stars like Amandla Stenberg, Brie Larson, and Tatiana Maslany. All of them face setbacks tied to broader problems within Disney's leadership and the company's current focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with environmental, social, and governance policies. The major shareholders like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, who support these ideologies, definitely have a say in how things are run. For Zegler, this is personal. Her entire Disney career was dependent on those sequels, and now with them being scrapped, it's not just a blow to her filmography, but her bank account too. This mirrors the fallout we saw with The Acolyte Season 2, where Disney's internal drama and their broader business decisions derailed an entire project. So is this a sign of deeper issues? Absolutely. Disney seems to be walking a fine line between adhering to these broader social and corporate agendas, while also trying to appease a fan base that just wants quality content. When you prioritize those big shareholder-driven policies over storytelling, you're bound to run into roadblocks. Zegler's experience is just the latest in a growing list of projects derailed by these competing interests. Thanks for watching the video. So what do you think about the cancellation of the Snow White trilogy and its impact on Rachel Zegler's career? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.